Please welcome together with me on stage Andreas Winiarski and the Executive Chairman of CUBE, Dr. Torsten Oelke.
Yeah, good morning everyone. My name is Andreas, and last time I was here invited to HEUREKA, I was allowed to talk about our IPO of Rocket Internet, so I'm used to talk about quite big topics, but today it's about CUBE, also big news. So Torsten, tell us a little bit more about CUBE, about this video and what it's all about.
Yeah, thank you, Andreas. Also a warm welcome to everybody from my side. You are setting the bar to some level, I don't know. So CUBE is, as you have seen in the short film, a global innovation ecosystem, which focuses on partnerships between industry leaders, industry players, and startups, which have services and products where they want to do business together. And we have basically seen over the recent years that there are many initiatives from the industry players concerning innovation. We have seen that there are many startups now who have not only B2C but also B2B solutions, and we as CUBE bringing them together globally.
Mm-hmm. You've talked about and mentioned industry players, I guess quite successful ones. I've seen Volkswagen. Who's part of this journey?
Yeah, you have seen there were some industry players who had last year in 2015 initiated CUBE. Among them are Volkswagen. You saw the quote from Dr. Martin Hoffmann, the group CIO of Volkswagen, and they approached then other industry players because they thought it might be very interesting to, on a partnership level, create an ecosystem with the startups.
Mm-hmm. Now think back, we both sat on the other side of HEUREKA a couple of years ago. Now we are standing here on the stage, but if I am a startup founder and I want to become part of a CUBE, how do I do it?
Yeah, you have to qualify. So the thing is, that the industry, that's a good news, every time for the startup they pay the ecosystem by an annual membership, while the startups, for them it's for free once they have qualified. So via our website, cube-global.com, you have an application form, and if you are a startup who has a service or product which match for an industry player and which you want to sell or implement in an industry player's process, then you can apply to the CUBE ecosystem, and once you are in, you profit from the system.
Mm-hmm. And what makes you different? Because there are not hundreds but dozens of incubators and everyone is talking about it. What is the USP and what makes CUBE so special?
Yeah, you're completely right. I mean, we have seen over the recent years tons of initiatives, right? I mean, there are great accelerator, incubator programs. I think here in Berlin we have 12 out of 30 DAX companies who have programs here. And also globally we have seen so many initiatives in that way. On the other hand, we have also seen that the startup got more and more mature and developed not only started here in Berlin for e-commerce, some products, but also now they are shifting, they are diversifying a bit more, and there are more and more B2B startups. So we thought when we looked at CUBE that it would make sense to at least combine all these different dots globally. So bringing in partners who also over the recent years are interested in that field. I mean, you have seen that the World Economic Forum, for instance, has beginning of this year focused on mastering the fourth industrial revolution. So with all these partners, we thought it makes sense to create a new ecosystem so that the industry, one side has not to go and really have to figure out which startup is really the right one I want to collaborate with. And also, I mean, for you as a startups, typically it's a waste of time to approach industry leaders. You have to figure out who is it, who's a relevant person there to speak about my business. So we thought to create that, to match that a bit beforehand with our program elements, that would make sense.
Guys, of course we are aware it might sound a little bit like a sales pitch, but it isn't, because when you're a founder, of course, you're always defensive and there's everyone in the room promising everything. But the reason why I'm here and a lot of others joined Cube is I really think it's something new. It brings together the best of both worlds, of big industry and startup mindset. And I really think it's about the people behind it. That's why my next question would be, Torsten, maybe that you tell us a little bit more about your own background, because finally, and that's something I've learned over my rocket years, it's very important who is on the other side, which person.
Yeah, so I myself, over the last 15 years, I'm in the digital economy now. So always working a bit at the interface between bigger corporations and startups. So I know a bit the problems and challenges of both worlds, being a founder myself. So I always focused, when the time was right to set up a new project, I focused on incubators in 2010 when I set it up, one of the first incubators for a big internet company. I also, when mobile came up in 2009 and everybody wasn't so sure about mobile technology, I created an app development company. So I think now it's the time, seeing that we have so many initiatives the corporates are doing, which are successful, but there's still something when it comes to the core business they want to achieve. On the other hand, the startups who have this great ecosystem now. I mean, if you compare it to the new economy, you as a startup founder can really be happy now because you have so many different initiatives, and it's more a challenge really to get guidance where to go for your business, for your startup. So I think it's really the time to combine that and to help both sides a bit, not to waste too much time, but really to efficiently to connect to each other and to find out where the business need is. I mean, take for example all the typical dinners you have here in this week in Berlin. I mean, there are so many people sitting next to each other and they are talking about something that is maybe not relevant for their business, or even a lot of conferences you have to talk to 10 people and startups tell me then, okay, 1 of 10 was really relevant for my business. And I think that is because we need curation, and our focus is partnerships, so it's not about investment, it's not about acceleration. It's really that we can make the fourth industrial revolution a bit more visible through our program, and help the startups on the one side to get to relevant people on the industry side, and the other way around.
I was convinced the very first moment you told me, because I really think that's what is missing in Germany and in Europe. And what's your vision when we think about Cube in 5 years? What would it look like?
Yeah, I mean, I hope we can at least contribute to some sort to the whole new digitalization. Especially in our case of the industry, so the new startup ecosystem there, the industry players changing. And if you compare it, I mean, we had, I always use a bold picture of the Eiffel Tower, which is in this week not referred to the soccer mastership, but also a couple of over 100 years ago, it was the Eiffel Tower was really a symbol for the Industrial Revolution, right? So the world came together. They wanted to see what can you do with steel and what's the new innovation, and you had really a place where you could showcase, right? For the startups now, that's missing in our world. We have all over the world different conferences, events where you can go and show, right? On the other hand, also for the industry, it's tough to really catch up and see where you find the right partner. And to do an expo like over 100 years ago and showing an Eiffel Tower of steel, that's probably not the thing you would do nowadays, right? But to develop an ecosystem which covered this with partners from the industry, also, and we will talk about the tech fair itself, also from trade companies who help to establish here in Berlin these kind of showcases. I think that could be a good thing. And if in 5 years everybody say, okay, I have to go to Cube, if I really have as a startup an industry product and an industry player, and also, okay, I have to go to Cube because there I find my partners to do business with, then we did the right job.
You've mentioned the tech fair, and I've seen it in the video. And tell us more about this tech fair event and your cooperation with Messe Berlin.
Yeah, so I mean, CUBE is an ecosystem which is kind of an annual program, right? So we do, during the first year, a lot of events internationally, if you've seen, with partners, like we did, for instance, with the World Economic Forum and others. So all this leads to connections between startups and industry players to show their common projects. Common projects, I mean that, take for example, a more famous one, Deutsche Bahn and Hyperloop, right? I mean, that's easy. Hyperloop is very well known. They're doing a project together, so that's probably the easiest way to match. But for the new startups, which are not so known as Hyperloop is today, that's really tough to implement their projects in the industry. And the tech fair is basically focusing on this. It's on the Berlin City Cube here in Berlin. It's a 6,000 square meter building, and you can there expect not the typical corporate booth and not all these tiny startup things with laptops, right? We really will focus on showing how your product as a startup will really fit into an industry project.
Maybe prototypes and
showcases,
so
right? Yeah.
Okay, and so it's maybe, my understanding, it's like an expo, a real world fair where you can meet and where you can see prototypes and touch and can meet people.
Yeah, to some sort it is, but I think it's also different to all the typical trade fairs, because again, typically you are overwhelmed by the big industry players, which try to impress you,
Suits
right?
And ties.
And you as a startup feel a bit tiny, and then speak to the so-called Fachpublikum, and you're all wasting your time typically. So we are focusing on showcases, really products in the industry, so that the startup together on a level playing field with an industry player can show what they are doing together.
So now that you are officially live, I know that you are preparing CUBE for a month now, if not a year. Today, now is the birthday. What are the next steps for CUBE?
Yeah, I mean, for now it's possible for the startups to qualify internationally and apply. So again, via our website, cube-global.com, and we start the application and qualification process.
So even I am allowed to qualify with my startup?
If you have a startup and an industry product, yes.
Okay, so I need a prototype. Okay, understood.
That's also a thing. I mean, it's not so much about a stage, Series A, B or so. It's more about, do you have really a product which is mature enough to be implemented in an VW production process as a test case, at least.
Okay.
So prototype is probably something you should work over the next month and then apply.
Gosh, okay, I got it. Will take a little while for me. But in general, now to sum up, CUBE, we understood, everyone here in the room, is a great initiative, but what makes it really special? Which is really the core and the USP you would like to emphasize?
Yeah, I mean, it's right. There are so many initiatives, competitions, and so forth that it's tough to differentiate, right? So we are doing it in that way. We have on the industry side, I think we have the approach to really board level. So you can be sure as a startup that you are visible for the big guys, and that they want on the tech fair next year in May, they really want to show what they are doing together with you. That's one side. Then we have partners who are really high level, have a great reputation from tech. You have seen some of the connectors here in the video to institutions like the World Economic Forum, who are interested when it comes to future of production to really show and bring input into it. And I mean, for the startups, we also, and so I'm glad that you are asking this question. We have also something that is really unique, I guess, but maybe you see for
now a surprise.
yourself.
We'll show you what CUBE is, the connectors, the touch points, the cooperation space, the matchmaking, and the tech fair. But there is still more. If your ideas are outstanding, if your products are desperately needed by the industry, if your company is the best of all qualifiers, Cube will give you a special prize, 1 million euros. In cash, no equity, no obligations, no strings attached. Just 1 million euros for the best of the best. To create a truly outstanding partnership between the industry and you. Qualify now. CubeGlobal.com.
Serious? Is it really true? 1 million in cash, and I don't have to give away equity and anything like that you will normally find later in the contract?
Yes.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, that's surprising for me, because I guess I don't have the data on the table, but might be or is maybe the highest startup award in the world, actually.
Yeah, as to my knowledge, it is, yeah.
And what has a startup to bring to the table to get the money? Because I've already learned, okay, I need the prototype and it will take me a while. So which are the requirements to get the 1 million? Because now I'm really interested.
Again, you have, first of all, to qualify for the ecosystem. So that's always the first step.
I'm a nice guy. I would like to join, but that's not enough.
I fear not.
Okay, sorry.
Therefore, it's too much money, obviously, on the table. And it's that you, by applying to the ecosystem, we are not set of strict criteria, right? We are mainly, when we got your application, we are focusing on, are you a startup who is mature enough, has mature enough products and services, where you would do business with an industry player, so that it fits to the different industries you have seen here. And as we have player from manufacturing, machinery, like you have seen with Volkswagen, to life science, digital health, agriculture, tech. It's a broad range of industries we are covering, and we will, in the Berlin Web Week, on the other conferences, announce step by step other industry partners we are working with.
So 1 million in cash, and I don't have to give away equity. Sounds like a good deal. But who's giving the money?
Yeah. Again, we have great partners. It was initiated by the industry. So Volkswagen started, other companies also on board level like Bayer then also joined the industry club. And we have partners to support the tech fair like the Messe Berlin. And out of the ecosystem, the prize is funded.
Okay, so maybe afterwards I have to ask and approach Messe Berlin Volkswagen directly to have a chance, maybe, because now I'm not so confident that it will work out here with both of us. So as a startup,
there's no workaround.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry.
As a startup, if I really bring the requirements,
I mean,
to
that's
the table.
important. That's really important because we want to be really a neutral platform and ecosystem. So there shouldn't be no bias. Also not by the industry players, right?
Okay.
So everybody has the same chance to get the million.
Okay. And as a startup, maybe to sum up again in bullets, how do I get the 1 million?
Again, first of all, apply for the ecosystem. Once you're, there are several ways. You've seen in the film we have global touchpoint events. Some of the ecosystem startups will then be invited to the touchpoint events. So we bring them together with players like Bayer, for instance, in Tel Aviv, if they are focusing on tech fair, on agriculture tech, sorry, and bring them together there. So out of this, one will appear on stage and will pitch on the finals on the tech fair in 2017. There are other things like the cooperation space, for instance. If you're invited there, also some of the startups there are invited for the finals again on the tech fair 2017. There they can pitch, and under this final round, one will get the 1 million. Okay,
we've now painted the picture of Mr. Cash, so maybe a second Oliver Samwer, but a nice or something like that. But what I've seen in the video, and you have just mentioned...
Again, setting the bar to some
briefly. You mentioned Tel Aviv. So Cube is also a very global platform, right? Maybe you could explain this a little bit more.
We have partners, so it's not like a satellite event. You have seen, for instance, Yossi Vardi from DLD, who will cover the DLD in Tel Aviv, and Cube will be present there in end of September, for instance. And then we have during the year in the other cities, other partners we are working together with. The idea is not to create a new event. The idea is, if there is, like here in Berlin, the Berlin Web Week, we have the large event and different conferences. We guide the startups, the industry players and partners through this week so that they can make most out of it.
So it's really the chance to go global with your startup, with a big crowd behind you, because all these connectors you are collecting or which come together behind Cube is powerful force, right?
Yeah, and we have done this in the past months, so a bit under the radar. We connected startups from Berlin, for instance, who wanted to expand to Asia. We connected in Shanghai with some industry players we knew which were interested in working together with startups there. So that's something we would do during the year, so that we got at least a core of partnerships, which then will strengthen even the network event you will have on a tech fair.
Mm-hmm. And these connectors, for me, besides the money, are core. I've seen corporate guys like the CIO of Volkswagen, Bayer is part, is also someone from the startup scene, which I admire, like Frank Schmiechen, who will be on stage after us, or Mike Butcher, a part of your scene, of your connectors.
Mike Butcher is, by the way.
Oh, that's cool.
Even, I think you can look it up, all our connectors. We have really
rock and roll, you know what you're up to.
I know. But I think it shows also how diverse the whole startup ecosystem is nowadays, right? Because there is always a good fit between someone from the industry, a startup, and a third party who really helps and accelerates and can make connections.
Okay. Now my last question, and the golden bullet question maybe. What would be your main advice to a founder who wants to win this 1 million and wants to become part of Cube? You can give now, because we are among us.
Have the best product. I mean, that's what typically,
that
focus on the product, as long as it is a great B2B product and you're really passionate about it, and it's mature enough and you can already use it to sell it as a product, sell it to an industry player, then you're ready, and the best one will. If you have further questions, Mark mentioned that there's a Cube box outside, where, because there might be some other questions we can on stage here came up, then the team is over there, and I'm happy to get you qualified.
Thank you very much. That's for now.
Thanks to you, Andreas. Thank you.
Thank you very much.